Welcome and thank you to Lawrence for joining the MDs in Manufacturing podcast, a podcast that allows Yorkshire business leaders to share useful insights on their role and business. I'm Kerry Hope, Managing Director, owner of Castle Employment Group, and today it's an honour to welcome Lawrence Green, Managing Director of Greens, the Sign Makers. How are you today, Lawrence?
I'm very good, thank you very much, Kerry. Really looking forward to this. Yeah, excited to be involved.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again for agreeing to join the podcast today. Just before we get going, do you want to share with the listeners more about what Greens, the Sign Makers, are famous for?
Blimey. Right, yes, I'll try and give the abbreviated short version. So we're very much a family company. I'm the third generation, so my granddad set it up. So we are sign makers in every sense of the word. We'll do everything from internal signage, be that wallpapers, letters built up, individual or flat cut, any kind of window vinyls. We do a lot of external signage, a lot of the retail park signs for the big flex face signs. But again, the intricate, detailed, technical stuff as well, we can do that. So we've got a very good team here that can do the more traditional based part as well as the modern printing and things like that. So any aspect of visual representation your company needs, we can pretty much manage.
Fabulous. Well, thank you for that. And you mentioned being the third generation to lead Greens, which is a huge legacy to carry forward. So growing up around the business, what experiences shaped your decision to join the business? What ultimately led you to take on that, to join the business and to become the MD?
I've always been involved with the business. From a young age, I was in the summer helping tidy the yard up, sorting out the recycling and things like that. Literally starting sweeping up. After my GCSEs, I joined the factory. I was a vinyler. Before we had our big wide Rolls roller machines, it was very hands-on, and it was before digital print and things. So yeah, it was a very hands-on part of the project. I don't think I really decided at that point. No, it's not decided. I don't think I really thought at that point what I was going to do. But I knew I wanted a year away from education, so came and had a gap year and worked here as well after A-levels. In the vinyl department, we were doing Harveys and Benson's for Beds rollout at the time, which we still do, which is very nice. But yeah, at the time we were working from about 7 in the morning till about 10 o'clock at night, Monday to Thursday, and then about 5 o'clock on a Friday. So we're working incredibly hard. I was down there with everybody. You have to apply, or in those days, had to apply the vinyl to the flex faces wet, so had big scrapers working away, getting absolutely soaked. So knew I didn't want to go straight into further education at university, so came and worked here. But it was only really the first summer of university. Really, it was my sister that kind of sat me and my dad down and went, "Come on, boys, what are you doing? Actually have a think." It was only at that point that I finally decided, or started to think, yes, now I would like to join the industry rather than use my degree, which was in motorsport. I'm pleased. I think it was the right decision. I very much enjoy it. So yeah, it was only actually stopping and thinking that made me realise, yes, it is something I want to do. I really enjoyed the industry anyway. I really enjoyed what we were manufacturing. I enjoyed developing new ways of manufacturing as well. But it is also the draw of being the MD, being the owner, that I think fully finalised my decision that it was me that would be able to make those important decisions day to day. I think that was the big draw for me.
How long have you been in that MD role now?
I think it was 2018. Yeah, so 7 years or so. I was ops manager before there, but I was pretty much doing it anyway. My dad was still involved at the time as project management. He used to be pretty much the only project manager at one point, very heavily involved client facing and dealing with those. So I've kind of done it slightly differently. I've got a fantastic team around me that, they often say, get somebody else better than you at doing the job, and that's worked for me so far.
Brilliant. Well, running a business comes with plenty of challenges. So running a business comes with plenty of challenges. So as an MD in the manufacturing sector, what would you say are the main things keeping you on your toes in 2025?
I think the big thing for me is balancing our customers' needs and balancing their workflow. Because we're manufacturing and installation, we don't just make set items repeatedly. Everything we do is bespoke, and even though it's the same type of signage, it's all custom and a one-off. So really it's managing the customer's needs of what they want that week, that month, that 6-month project. When I first took over, we were very heavily involved with curries, and they were about 70% of our turnover.
Oh.
They kept us busy, and it was fantastic work. We were very appreciative of it, but we were very reliant on them. In a way, it was good because you could forecast a bit easier. You knew exactly what your one customer was doing. But for security, I wasn't happy that we were very reliant on one person. So we've worked hard. We've really spread the number of customers, the type of customer, many different sectors now, which is fantastic and is really working for us. But it does make it harder that you've got to manage all these different people. One might be exceptionally busy for a project, and you just try and hold off the next one until that one's finished, which so far we've been able to. It's managing the customers, but we do that by managing the different departments and the workflow here. We've got a fantastic team, some very long-serving members of staff which really know what they're doing, and we've tried and get everybody as flexible as they can be so that they're not stuck in one department. They're not just a vinyler, they're not just acrylic or LED assembly. What often happens is one type of customer has one type of signage, so they're very heavy in one department for a run of a project. So we can bring people in and move them over, because I really don't like the hiring and firing, and if I'm taking somebody on, that's a commitment from me to them. So having them flexible, that they all can chip in where's needed, really does help.
It helps with their development as well, doesn't it? And in turn then attrition and variation in their jobs. So I can understand how that would benefit all, including your customers, especially if their demands are up and down. Just out of interest, do you have a percentage that you aim to keep one client below as a percentage in terms of your turnover, just from a risk point of view? Have you got that in your strategy, or is that something that you've had to learn from? Just going off task a little bit on that.
It's not something I have a set number on. It's more just lessons learnt previously, and we'll kind of review it in our SLT meetings, going, right, well, yes. What will often happen is, now we've got a great balance of customers, which rotates very slowly. There will be peaks where one customer is busy. At the minute, we're rebranding WH Smiths to TG Jones. We've got all of the M62 upwards, basically, so we're doing a heck of a lot of that. So at the minute, for this couple of months, WH Smiths is probably our largest customer, but they'll very quickly drop back to just being more run-of-the-mill and day-to-day stuff. So it's not too bad, but yeah, no set number, because it does fluctuate, but it's something to keep an eye on.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. And in talking about changes, and something that I'm speaking to a lot of MDs in manufacturing about is driving efficiency, and that adds value to the business. Has there been any changes that you've implemented, big or small, that have helped drive efficiency across the business over, say, the last 12 months?
Maybe not so much over the last 12 months.
Or in general,
just been hard at it and making sure the work we've put in previously keeps it flowing. I think some of the big changes I brought to the business was our digital print department. Before I took over as MD, what we then had as wide format printing was 1.6 metres wide, little inkjet printers, which were great, but good for vinyl. But I could see the industry changing, the market changing. So over the years, we've now set up a very large wide format print department, which takes up a significant part of our factory. And so we've now got one UV ink printer that can print 5 metres wide, and they come on 50-metre rolls. We're talking some serious large format there. We've got another one that is a HP, that's 2.7 wide from memory, but that's that can do flatbed sheets as well as roll to roll. And then we've got another printer that is, I think, 3.4 metres wide, I can't remember. That's another roll. So we've really increased our printing capacity, and that's something, again, we're due this year to review and make sure we've got the right ones at the right time. The other part that changed quite a lot post-COVID really was looking at our sustainability. We've had a big drive on that, mainly it all came from my daughter. She wrote a lovely poem one weekend when she was 8, she's now 12, basically calling out businesses like us. So we've had a very big push on sustainability and pushing that forward as well, which has been an interesting journey. Yes, we're doing it for the right reasons, and if my next generation of sign makers want to be involved, we've got a business that they want to be involved with and are proud of. It does also, being sustainable does help. We're powered by 208 solar panels on the roof, and so that keeps energy bills down. It does help us as well as doing the right thing. It is a two-way thing.
Is that something that you measured on from your customers as well? I know lots of manufacturing companies, customers look at supply chain and ultimately it's a key criteria now. So how's that been important when when you're going for the new contracts like WH Smith? Is that something that they're wanting to understand more about what you're doing as well?
Yes, very much so. Yes, with varying degrees of success of how they achieve it, let's say.
Right.
We have some that you're here trying to do the right thing and you feel it's a bit of a tick box exercise on their side, but at least they're looking at it and it's worthwhile. Yeah. So for us it's just across the board, but with sustainability, just trying to do the right thing, and when people are ready, we're there for them with it.
Brilliant, and in line with the entire culture that is family and inspired by your daughter, which is just wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Just talking about the culture then, that probably leads really nicely into people and culture at Greens, the sign makers. How would you say you are attracting, as importantly, retaining and leading your team in what is still a tricky climate out there? What's happening for you?
Luckily, I don't often have to go out and attract somebody in to come and work for us. We've got a very low turnover of staff here, so we must be doing something right. We're very fortunate in that way. I think, as I've described with the sustainability, we just try and do the right thing. We can't always please everybody, but just try and be fair. You actually and your team helped us greatly in our review. I think last year checked in and you supplied me with a kind of typical salary band for different roles and things, which was incredibly helpful. And just even that, the team can see that it's not just what can we get away with. It's like, well, what's the industry standard for their job? Right, well, let's make sure we're somewhere in that region at least. And the other part is just listening and hearing what their issues are. We've got some people that start as early as 5:30 in the morning so they can be done by afternoon tea break at 2:30, so they can get the school run in the afternoon, because that was important to them. And that's fine with us if it doesn't affect me, as long as the work gets done each week and they can do it whenever they want. So having that flexibility and being understanding really helps, and there's a reason that a lot of them have stayed here for such a long time.
Absolutely. And is there anything about your leadership style that you would say contributes to keeping that attrition so low? Is there anything that you purposefully aim to achieve in your leadership role or with your management team that you think contributes? So I know you're really modest, Lawrence, and you probably won't feel comfortable talking about it, but I think ultimately people leave a business, don't they, because they leave for the boss often. So it's brilliant that you're doing the fair and the right thing, and that you are flexible, and that you're listening, and that you're hearing, and obviously the sustainability comes into that. But is there anything that you would say that other leaders could hear from this to think, actually, maybe need to do a self-check-in and make sure that's me? Is there anything that you would be able to share with me on that?
We don't always get it right, but we do try. I try and get everybody to understand that I would much rather they come and have a talk, have a conversation and raise an issue. I may not be able to have a solution there and then, I may not be able to have a solution that month, but I know that if you don't share the problem or discuss it, it'll often escalate and become 10 times the size it needs to be in your head, when really if you just come and talk and just come and see me or any of our leadership team, there often is just a quick answer, or even just a bit of understanding. I can see this is causing you an issue, or causing you distress, but this is why we're having to do it like this, and I'd love to do that. We'll look at that in the future, but right now I'm sorry, this is what it has to be. And often if they can see it from our point of view as well, then at least they know we have considered everything, and it's just this one hasn't gone their way.
Absolutely.
But if we can, we will.
Absolutely. And that having that open door, culture is so important, I think, and that's obviously paying dividends for you. Having not had the same challenges that a lot of manufacturers have, which is people, in terms of attraction and retention. So it's something you should be super proud on with that. How many employees are there now at Greens?
I was very surprised at Easter when I got my latest tally of how many Easter eggs I had to buy, and it was over 60.
Wow,
That surprised
okay.
me. So I think we're at 62 at the minute, I think.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah.
Yes. Normally, when people ask, I say, "Oh, we're just over 50." But we've
Creeping
had
up.
a good couple of years. I don't like to take on unless there's something for the foreseeable future. Hopefully the sustained growth will continue. Certainly trying.
Brilliant. And just talking about bold moves or tough calls, because obviously we have to make lots of those as leaders in business and certainly in different sectors. What would you be able to share? Tough call or one bold move that you made, and possibly if there was anything that you learned from that?
I think I'm much better now at the understanding that if a customer isn't right, they're not our customer.
Okay.
We in the past we would have struggled on and fought on savings or whatever reductions, and all it is eating away at the margins. And we are here to make money, so we can continue to reinvest. We've just redone our powder coat facilities at over 100 grand, so we really try and make sure we're up front and in the technology departments. But that's I think the key one for me when I was pondering that question, that if they're not right, we will now just move on. I won't get involved in a race to the bottom. If somebody wants to undercut us and I can see that they're buying the work, that's fine. I'll let them buy the work.
It can often be really difficult, can't it? It depends on how the economy is feeling as well, and what's happening in the business, to hold your value and really understand that you know your worth and what your value is to your customers. So how have you managed to work with that?
We have let customers, well, not let them go, just they've drifted away, but kind of intentionally. The signage industry is very competitive. A lot of our value is in the service we offer as well. But we do get people coming in and undercutting us, buying the work, and I just won't be involved in that. If somebody wants to hack away at it, then I'm not going to do the job for nothing. We've got plenty of other customers as well. We do help where we can. We remain as competitive as we can. We wouldn't have as many customers if we weren't. But yes, I won't be involved in a race to the bottom. And what often happens is the customer ends up coming back when the service they get from somebody else isn't the same as us, and they understand that there might be a token amount more, and it can be a token amount, and they'll go, "It's just easy with you. We're coming back." So yes,
Sure,
we do let that happen occasionally.
very satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, and then just finally, I think we've got a few minutes left. So thinking about future growth and strategy, we touched on it a little bit, but having recently turned 60 years in business, how do you balance tradition with, I guess, innovation, especially as you look ahead into the next decade?
Somebody once kind of came up with a tagline for Greens, which I haven't changed because it does fit in modern thinking, traditional values.
Oh, lovely.
I think having those traditional values running the business, doing the right thing, just being open and honest and fair, and having those underpinning us keeps us in the right place. But then, as I say, maintaining the technology side of it is incredibly important. We've just renewed our powder coat facilities, as I mentioned as well, just to keep that quality there, keep the turnover there. Part of that is capacity, so we've increased the capacity of that as well, looking forward for the extra growth we're hoping is coming with our hard work. But I think balancing those two aspects allows us to keep doing what we're doing, and people seem to like it.
Brilliant, thank you. And I will just ask a final one, actually, because it is a question I'm getting asked frequently. Have you, obviously, I'm very aware from our conversations when we catch up about our knowledge on AI, and how that might impact businesses in the future. Is that something that is happening in Greens at the moment, or are you still early forming your opinion on where that might sit that suits both what you do but also the team and the future of where you want the business to go?
I'd say it's still fairly early, but we are using it. Me, probably the most. I know some people will use the basic form of just rewriting an email they've put together if it's not a confrontational one, but not run-of-the-mill email. They'll use it for that. But now I'll use it for everything, assisting HR just in that aspect, putting together sample documents and things, anything like that. We've explored looking on the scheduling side for installations, but haven't quite got there yet. I think with our next phase of growth, it's something we're very much aware of and will take advantage of it more. But the systems work at the minute. The costs and the savings of time just didn't quite make sense. So yes, something I'm trying to balance out for the next phase. But yes, very keen and happy to do it. I think it's a great part that can support you in whatever you're doing.
Brilliant. Well, Lawrence, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of MDs in Manufacturing. It's been really brilliant to hear about your journey as the third generation, leading Greens the sign makers and how you're driving not only the sustainability, but it's been great hearing about the innovation to the new products and the investment, and hearing about your growth whilst obviously staying true to the family legacy. For those listening, I hope today's conversation has given you valuable insights into what it really takes to lead a manufacturing business in 2025. These stories remind us that while the challenges are real, so are the opportunities to innovate, build strong teams and keep moving. So if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, a share with your network, and subscribe to the MDs in Manufacturing podcast so you never miss future conversations with business leaders who are living it every day. Thanks again, Lawrence, for joining me today.
Cheers, Kerry. No, it's been great.
Thank you.